Hello everyone and welcome to a new ServiceTonic video. In this video, we will talk about the second part of reports. We will learn how to create, modify, and manage all the options that ServiceTonic reports offer. To do this, we will access the banner, click on the tools, then select reports. First of all, we can see that in ServiceTonic we can manage 3 different types of reports. We will start with the report management, which is probably the most used of the 3, as it is not necessary to have knowledge of the database. The creation method is very simple. To demonstrate it, we will make a small example where we will show tickets that are still active, meaning that they are open, not closed, and therefore not yet finished. We will start by creating a new report. Now, we will add a title such as Open Tickets, and we will select the type of report, deciding whether we want to share it or make it private. In this case, we will choose Shared. Once we've chosen the type, we must select the fields that we will display in the report, such as the ticket ID, the status, the team to which it belongs, and finally the creation date. Now that we've added the fields, we have the following options. For example, sorting tickets by creation date from oldest to most recent. Another available option would be grouping tickets by team, which would indicate, for example, the number of different tickets by each team in numerical values. Once we're done with all the fields we want to see, we need to configure the criteria, meaning the conditions for our report. In this case, we will simply add that the status field does not have the value closed. Once the criteria have been added, we must also select the logic that the report will follow, meaning whether it should meet all conditions or just one of them, using the and/or values. Now that we have finished with the criteria, we move on to parameters. This is an optional part of the report creation process. Parameters are still criteria, but they allow us to modify certain values before the report is run. Here, we will add, for example, priority as a parameter. Now we go back to parameters, and we will choose the value of the priority. We can choose one or several options. If we don't select any, by default, it will show us the tickets that are in normal priority. We click the check mark to save the parameter. Once finished, we continue with the roles, meaning who will have access to this report. For now, we will select only the administrator role to have permissions over it. And lastly, we have the scheduling window, which is also optional. It allows us to automate the report, meaning that it will be generated automatically and sent to an email address. In this case, we could select the frequency is monthly, and that it will send the report on the first day of every month. The number of copies could be set to, for example, 5. The format could be in XLS. And finally, we will need to add the list of recipients. If you want to add more than one email address, simply separate them with a comma in the next email. Once finished, we click Save. Now that all the changes have been made, let's proceed with testing. we select the report, click on Generate. Finally, we choose the report type. In this case, we will choose XLS. We click on Generate, and now that it has been created, we can see the results. Now that we have finished with this report, let's go back to ServiceTonic and take a look at predefined reports, which are the reports that ServiceTonic offers by default for free. Besides being able to add criteria and certain parameters, these reports offer specific charts for the report in question. Let's generate an example by selecting the Open versus Closed report. As I mentioned, we have the option to add criteria and certain parameters. In this case, we will choose the closing date instead of the resolution date, which would apply to SLAs. Regarding the frequency, we will select monthly. And finally, we will add a date range. For example, we could select from January 1st until January 31st. If we wanted, we could add a criterion such as separating the tickets by team. Now that we have configured everything, we just need to select the type of report and generate it. In this case, we will leave it as PDF. We click on Generate. We open it. And as we can see in this report, we see in numerical form the tickets closed versus created in July. And at the bottom, we have a chart corresponding to the report. Now that we have seen the predefined reports, let's go back to ServiceTonic and take a look at the SQL reports, which, as we can see, are created using SQL statements. In other words, the creation of these reports is completely manual. However, it should be noted that the creation process for these reports is exactly the same as the others. The main difference, apart from using SQL statements, is that we can further customize the design of the report through the Appearance tab, personalizing the different styles using CSS attributes. Finally, note that to generate this type of report, it is necessary to have at least some knowledge of databases, and especially to know the data structure. So, if you have any doubts, feel free to consult us for any issues that may arise when generating this type of report. And that's it for the video on reports. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to contact our support team through the usual channels. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.